Hello, everyone. I'm a little bit ahead of time. Actually, I'm just on time. I wanted to start off, so I'll just proceed with the reading, and anyone that comes on, we can, say hi and get going with things. So the breaking news. Before I go to Fox News and the future of fake news, I wanted to start off with. Let me just have a sip of my tea while I just give people a quick hi, Lynn. How are you? Good to see you. How's your weekend been? Hello, Donna. Morning. How's everyone's weekend? Yeah, so it's taking some time for you to answer. You're probably all typing away. Good. Great. All right. So I thought I would just, because we've got some breaking news, before we get on to fake news and Fox News and social media, etc., I thought I'd just go to Mueller because, of course, he's now confirmed he's been negotiating with the Democrats, and he's now confirmed that he'll be before the House or before the Congress on May the 15th. So in Australia, we've had the launch of the ALP, our Progressive Party's campaign over the weekend, and there's some really good things coming from that, which I'll get on to when we move to the fake news. Great. I'm glad everybody's weekend was good. But first, let's head off to Mueller, the 15th of May. Wow. What's his testimony going to be like? Is he going to live up to the expectations? Now, that thought always crosses my mind because I feel that, Mueller's a hero in America and pretty much all around the world. He's sort of like someone that we pin our hopes onto because we want to get rid of Trump. But, what happens, what's his testimony going to be like? Rudd and Gillard City. I know, Donna, I know. We'll get to the Australian election because it ties in with our fake news segment. So Mueller, okay, let's have a look. Mueller, May the 15th. What's his testimony going to be like? Is it going to disappoint? Is he going to, come through for us? I did have my, I thought about that this morning. And I thought, well, he wouldn't have worded his report in such a way where he didn't exonerate Trump, where he said there were multiple examples of collusion, yet not enough there to prove conspiracy beyond a reasonable doubt. Why was there not enough? Because the evidence was destroyed before he got there. And then on the case of obstruction, of course, he said Trump can be prosecuted once he leaves office. So, I don't think he's going to let us down. I think he's actually going to be quite good. Trump has been tweeting in a frenzy over the weekend and not wanting Mueller to appear. At this point in time, Mueller will be in front of the Congress on May the 15th. So what's his testimony going to be like? Let's just have a little snapshot look there. What's his testimony going to be like? So I'm feeling that the energy around that testimony is going to be really, really quite explosive. It's almost as if people are walking around in the corridors in chaos, if you like. I feel that's the anticipation of his testimony. The Republicans are really trying to pull out all stops to stop him testifying before the Congress. The Democrats are sitting down, working out their strategy and around their questions to really bring the information that has been pushed to the background by William Barr. The Democrats want that to the fore now. I feel Mueller is going to have a moment there on that stand or behind that desk where he's actually going to say something of really tremendous importance. It's going to be quite profound. I think Mueller's testimony, I think, will be fair to say, is I think it's going to be profound. Wow. Okay, let's have a look. What's going to be the reaction? That's what we need to know. What's going to be the reaction to Mueller's testimony? I'm seeing a tower moment here. What's going to be the reaction to Mueller's testimony on May the 15th? The reaction in America, across the world, to Mueller's testimony, May the 15th. All right, let's have a look. Now, this Queen of Pentacles, I've got to find out who she is because she keeps coming up, and she's coming up in other readers' spreads. And I think we're failing to see the significance of the Queen of Pentacles. This is another card like the Six of Pentacles and those other cards that kept coming forward. This is another one that's coming forward in our readings at the moment. Now, look, she's resourceful. She's patient. She gets the job done. Is this Mueller himself? There's something else here, the Queen of Pentacles. I'm feeling there's a monetary aspect here, and I can't quite put my finger on it yet, but I will. I'm onto it. The Queen of Pentacles. Watch for that card. Bar, could be bar. All right, now what's yeah, okay, so I think that's the information itself that Mueller has collected on Trump, and it has it's relative to his financial dealings in the past. What is challenging that is manipulation here and juggling. So again, that idea that the Republicans are in the corridors trying to figure out how they can actually stop Mueller is correct. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to stop his testimony at the moment, find a loophole, etc. Let me just bring the laptop down for a minute. Okay, sorry, I'm just pushing you back a minute. Okay. Right, so what's the foundation of the reading? The Queen of Cups. More will be revealed. Okay, so the Queen of Cups, another one of those cards that keeps coming up. She's sitting there and she's supportive, but there's also a little bit of a charismatic element to the Queen of Cups, where she hooks you in with this support, but there's also, look at her hand, it's over the cup. So the foundation of the reading is Mueller's going to be revealing more of that information that has been hidden. The Three of Pentacles is talking in the past position, is talking about it's working together. It's working together to create something, but it's also repair as well, repair and fixing. I think both of those things are relevant to this reading. In the sky, the potential of the present moment is Mueller. Here's Mueller himself. Here's Mueller himself. He's always appeared as the King of Swords. Okay, that's the truth coming out. So far looking pretty good for his testimony. The Five of Pentacles in the immediate future is lost. That's not so. Okay. So this Five of Pentacles can come forward when someone feels victimized. I'm not saying Mueller is feeling victimized. I'm saying the Republicans are feeling like they've lost a battle. So I do feel that Mueller's going to testify despite the Republicans' efforts to stop him. All right, the Eight of Pentacles, we're going to hear about his work. Now, remember, this was his signature card all through his investigation. And in my Cairo Marchetti deck, it depicted someone working hard in their attic by the sea with a spider web. And I always used to say, Mueller is catching the flies here. Mueller is the spider. He will catch what he needs to catch. And I feel that that's really what's happening at the moment. His report is solid. Yep. The environment around is illumination, the sun. It's looking good, but the Republicans are going to try and stop him. The Three of Wands in the hopes and fears. Okay, this is the expansion card. There's an eagle soaring toward freedom. There are a lot of hopes pinned on Mueller's testimony. They're hoping that it will free them to understand the truth here and not to be tied by someone else's false truth. And we've got new starts. There's going to be an emotional release here with the Mueller testimony. There really is. The Ace of Cups. And there's going to be, people are going to feel victorious. I want these lovely cards. And the secrets are going to be revealed. Okay, right. Good cards for Mueller. What is hidden from us, though, is the Emperor card. So this is, of course, is the autocratic Trump. A very good card for him. Really, between now and then, I feel that the Republicans, running around in the corridors trying to find a way to stop Mueller. Trump is really working behind the scenes with Attorney General Barr to stop Mueller. I'll do a fuller reading on this in for YouTube when we get a little bit closer to the date. But at this point in time, looks like Mueller's going to testify. So let's have a move on to fake news. Now, in Australia, over the weekend, as I said, the ALP, who are a progressive party, and by progressive, you can think addressing climate change, looking after making sure there's a social welfare safety net there for the vulnerable. They're very good economic managers too. When we had the recession in, was it 2008, 9, Labor kept Australia afloat. We had a very good treasurer, Labor treasurer, and the Prime Minister at that time, while not everybody liked him. According to the economy, we were very, very strong during a recession because of their policies. Now, over the weekend, we had that launch, and the reason that I'm linking this with fake news is that a former Prime Minister of ours, Paul Keating, and I've posted it on my Facebook page for Revealing Light Tarot. He talks about the Labor policies for moving to 100% renewables in time. And he talks about the coalition Liberal Party, which are the Conservative Party, really being wedded to fossil fuels, and that was the that's more aligned with the Industrial Revolution, and that we should be moving toward renewables. So he talks about that. Now he says here, and this reminded me of your Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and it reminds me of Trump on Twitter, so I'm just setting the stage there. Now, Paul Keating says, this is the land of the sun, Australia. So this is the place, perhaps first in the world, where renewables could be the primary source of energy. Yet we have Liberals going back to Mr. Stevenson's steam train of 250 years ago. Big ideas are always winners, Keating pronounced. The Twitter sphere prospers when there are no ideas out there. But once you shape the debate and you put the big ideas out there, like the Labor leader has done today, what it does, it gathers followers. You become the Pied Piper. And when you become the Pied Piper, you pick up adherents. But if there's no Pied Piper, the Twitter sphere takes over. So that was a dig at Trump, without a doubt. And more or less saying, and I think this is one of the questions we'll get to today, is why does fake news prosper in the way that it does? In Australia, of course, we've had a situation where fake news is now worming its way into the election, and a lot of fake news has been put out by the Conservative voters to try and stop the Progressive Party here winning the election. And it's been quite shameful to see. I've seen friends and colleagues of mine, small business people particularly, getting caught up in this fake news atmosphere, and really I think, don't you know that that's fake news? But it's really because it's out of fear. It's out of fear and ignorance. And when you don't have big ideas, when you don't have the inspiration, that fear and ignorance can take over. That's what gets the momentum, not the big ideas. So I have to say, I feel very strongly that the Progressive Party here will win the election, and we're going to be we're heading into some really sunny times, shall I say. That sun card, I feel, is there for us here in Australia. But back to the fake news, back to the, Donald Trump is doing a similar thing, putting out ideas that aren't big at his rallies, and they're taking hold as well. So a lot of it also is around conservative religion, and I feel that this is also playing to the fear is the basis of fake news and why people believe fake news. But let's just have a look at these cards here. Why is it that fake news, and not the facts? Why do people believe this? What is the reason that good people, believe fake news? Fake news. Why do they believe it? Why do they get hoodwinked by it? Okay, so judgment is at the back of all of this. Judgment. Look, I had this conversation with my son this morning around holding heavy judgments. He said to me a couple of years ago, I think when he was like 15, he said that judgment are the bars of a prison of our own making. I re-quoted that to him this morning because he was judging someone quite harshly. And it is the absence of compassion. And really, when we have that, we have the absence of compassion driven by fear, harsh judgments, then we actually have to follow that lesson down the track until change is achieved. So unfortunately, fake news is part of this judgment that's going on at the moment, but we know that it will end. Not that fake news will end, but a situation will end for that person. That small business person that retweeted the fake news around, that I was talking about, unfortunately, he's going to come to some sort of realization in the future, because there's always a lesson there when there's judgment, always. Okay, now, what challenges that is the Eight of Pentacles, which is this hard work. And here we have the judgment and the lessons. As I said, when there's judgment, when there's harsh judgment and absence of compassion and truth, you actually have those lessons proceeding then until something changes. That seems to be what these cards are saying. Until there's an illumination here, because we've got the sun coming out. And this is the lesson, and this is what's happening in America for us. And that's why it's so important for all of us, is what it's going to end up after that judgment, after that work. We're going to have illumination of the truth. Okay, so the truth is actually going to come out, not the judgment, not the wrong judgment, but the truth. And we've got the Two of Cups, and this is what people like Donald Trump, Vladimir Putin understand only too well. Perhaps Scott Morrison in Australia, other leaders that push fake news. It's appealing to people, seducing people, unfortunately, and it's leading them up the garden path. And what is the present moment? Because it makes me happy, because it ties in with the Judgment card. We've got the potential, what's in the sky. It's the truth. Okay, where there's that fake news, the truth is then having to be prized open, and enough of us will do the work to ensure that the truth is prized open. Now, the immediate future here, or something that goes along with prizing open the truth, is the Ten of Pentacles. I see this in this reading as a future card. This talks about generations. I think when we're limited through those judgments, through that environment of fake news and lies and manipulation and seduction, and we start to think about future generations. We start to think about the world that our children will inherit. And I think that's one of the motivations why we pursue the truth the way that we do. And we do. Here's the Ace of Swords here, the truth coming forward. And look at the inspiration. We are inspired to make sure the truth is heard. We don't want to live in the dark, do we? We want to live in the light. And it is all about inspiration, with the Knight of Wands coming through. This card's coming up a lot now in my American readings, and it's coming up for the work that the Democrats are doing. It's been a journey that began with a seduction, that fueled judgments, and then there was the work, hard work that had to be done, the journey that had to be made, the foundation of the reading, illumination, what was the potential of the situation, prizing open the truth. And I think there's a lesson here around inspiration. People have to be inspired to try and bring light and truth into the situation or the environment. And we get battered around. This is in the hopes and fears. It's a journey that we've really got to work hard, unfortunately. The final outcome, though, it's always successful. Those sayings, those cliches, the truth will out, truth always wins. There's some merit in them. That's the Four of Wands. That's celebration and reuniting. Now, there's always a sting in the tail here when we look at things as black and white, because there's many shades of grey. We've got the Devil card here. This is around greed. It's around avarice. This is why the seduction, because there's always an agenda. But it's also, I feel there is also a counsel here about being obsessed with the hard work that we have to do. Yes, there is hard work to keep light in dark times. But there's also a counsel here not to fall right into it, to keep your eye on expansion. This is the Three of Wands, expansion, and moving forward here, and freedom for yourself. So while you might join the collective movement, the collective mind, the collective consciousness to try and get truth out, there's also a counsel here: never forget your own journey, your own spiritualism, your own connection, your own life, your own loves, your own freedom. Okay, don't get so obsessed that you forget about your freedom. Now, what's hidden from our view is the autocrat. So someone who's pushing this fake news environment is always seeking to seize control. This is not a nice card, the Emperor here. This is why I like this deck. It can be a bit harsh. This is a beast sitting on the throne, and look what's behind him: destruction and fire. So, really, if we look at fake news, we can always trace it back to someone who wants power. Okay, and is using seduction to get that. Now, this is quite a deep reading. I didn't expect it to be so deep, but it is. But I think it illustrated the process quite well. And it is around those judgments and hard work that needs to be done. Where really, who are we batting for? Who are we? Why are we on this team? We're on this team to make a better future. We want the light. We don't want the dark. And we want freedom. We want freedom to be ourselves, to lead our own lives, to make our own choices and our own judgments. Not judgments, our own choices, and be who we are without having to be subsumed to someone else's agenda and power. So fake news has its genesis in someone wanting power over us. All right, and also we aid and abet fake news when we make the judgments. But the bottom line in that reading is the truth will always come out. Now, if that's the case, let's move to Fox News, because I'll just have a sip of the tea. First of all, any comments? I do realise it was pretty heavy reading for a Monday morning in Australia at 10:30. Okay, let's move to fake news. So if we're on the journey, that judgment journey, and truth will always out itself. That does take hard work to bring it out. What about media organisations like Fox News? Its equivalent in Australia is Sky News. Sky News is not as bad as Fox News, but some elements are. England has its own equivalent. What about those media organisations that make the judgment, that fall into the trap of the emperor trying to win power? that resist. We have to work hard to try and overturn the truth. What actually happens to these media outlets? What's the future of Fox News? Let's just ask that. Bearing in mind our first fake news reading, what is the future of Fox News in America and other media outlets, alt-right, neo-Nazi, fascist media outlets? What is the future of these media outlets? Fox News. Okay. Six of Cups is talking about a reunion with self. So already I'm seeing that the past will catch up with Fox News, that there will be enough in the wash when everything's exposed. Fox News is going to be caught up with the downfall of Donald Trump. And what you're going to see, because I got an image of the chariot coming forward, the chariot comes forward very strongly. It's a Roman Empire image where you had gladiators battling things out to win. I feel that once all this goes down, I feel that someone's going to come into Fox News with a big broom and they're going to sweep it clean, and they're going to take it back to a reinvention. They're all almost going to try and take it back to what it was in the past. Now, I'm not sure about the history of Fox News. I'd have to go back and look at that, but this is reunions with the past, and also almost more of an innocent, cleaner kind of agenda at Fox News. Now, what's challenging that at the moment, because they could be it, but they're not. They're not through that journey yet. Is illusions and delusions. So this, when people fall for fake news, when you get the Laura Ingrams and those that actually do believe what they're saying is true, they're actually deluded. So this is this upside down world that I was talking about yesterday. It's a bit of a delusion, and it divorces from reality, but it also divorces from the self. Unfortunately, that's Laura Ingram's business then, isn't it? It's her karma, her business then, that she will be going through. Now, the King of Wands here is the foundation of the reading, and this is not the it's not the savage king. It's the king that rules with inspiration and creativity and passion. So I feel that the media in the future may start in some way to take a step toward these big ideas that I was talking about at the beginning of this reading. It's not going to be a miracle, but this is the elements of or the qualities of the King of Wands is adhering to the law. It's following the law. It's also bold and charming, but it is the leader. So I feel that there will be new norms, not new norms, but there will be a shift in the norms post-Trump. Everything's going to change. I'm not going to say it's going to be a magical change, but I feel that somebody will be sweeping through Fox News and cleaning it up. Now, in the past, there's worry and anxiety. I think this is what Fox News and other media outlets cause, but I also feel that in some way you've seen steps. I have seen Fox News, not Fox, but Fox News, coming forward and really berating the president. I do feel that there's a bit of a shift because they feel what they're looking at their future and they're a little bit anxious about their future. Which side do they want to be on the Titanic? Where do they want to be when everything comes out? The Queen of Wands here. This is we've got a lot of inspirational cards here, fire signs, and this is the present, the potential of the present moment. This is a card, as you know, that comes forward with change. It came forward in the midterms, and it is around losing the patriarchy, the vestiges of the patriarchal society, and moving forward in some way. So I feel that you might see more young people on Fox News, they're going to actually be more expansive and move away from this the kind of conditions you've seen around Donald Trump. Now, the Knight of Pentacles in the immediate future, this is talking why the move. I feel that Fox News might be losing money as well. I feel this is the reliability of the income sources here. So I feel that they're probably already planning post-Trump and where they're going to position their channel. Balance is the foundation of the reading. They're going to be looking to be more balanced here, and I do feel it's a financial decision to be more balanced. Yeah, okay, here's our Queen of Pentacles again, the environment around the Queen of Pentacles. Okay, so resourceful, financial security. This is a hard worker as well. Okay, so that's the environment around, came up in the Mueller reading. The Three of Pentacles in the hopes and fears. Again, it's also associated with the coin, with the income. And I feel that they're losing losing money, and they'll be starting to think about reinventing themselves into a more balanced network. The Ten of Pentacles, again, this is the dynastic wealth. I think this is the Murdoch card. They've survived and thrived on adaptation, and they are multi-generational, the Murdochs. So I feel that it is all about, at the end of the day, the income. The King of Pentacles, it is about the income. It's about the loss of income. Here we go. Four of Pentacles, insecurity, shoring up the security of their income. So they're actually what's hidden from our view is Donald Trump. They're actually the autocrat. They're actually starting to think, I believe they're actually starting to think about a more balanced format post-Trump. This has come up in the situation at the moment for Fox. But it is all, the foundation of the reading is the King of Wands, suggesting that whatever happens with Trump and post-Trump's going to clean up. They're going to clean up their act a little bit more. And the signifier card is, of course, going back to a more stable time. So I do feel you'll see subtle changes as we go on with Fox News. What's motivating them is income. What are they going to become post-Trump? If you think about it, Trump, we start to see the collusion, the obstruction. He starts to be prosecuted through the courts. What are they going to do? They're going to get smart. They're going to remove the Hannitys, the Laura Ingrams, and they're going to reposition themselves in a more balanced format. And why are they going to do that? Because they're going to lose money otherwise. Who do they want to be chained to? The albatross or the eagle? I would say the eagle. All right, so social media. I'm just going to change decks here, and we'll have a look at social media. Now, as you know, Facebook has banned the right-wingers, the InfoWars and the Milo. I can't even pronounce his last name, but certainly Milo has been trying to get into Australia, and he was actually banned after an uproar in Australia. He's pretty much a spent force in America, as is, I think, Steve Bannon. It's like the trajectory of their influence is kind of waning. They might have some influence in those European countries that are looking beyond liberalism, liberal democracies, but I feel that in the Western democracies they have very little traction. It's not to underestimate. When I was speaking about this with my husband this morning, he said, "Don't forget that Donald Trump does that at at his rallies. He puts forward the big ideas that our former Prime Minister was talking about. We're going to go back to coal, and we're going to I dig miners, and we're going to bring back jobs here and all of that. So some of that same strategy is used there, and we shouldn't underestimate that. Why am I saying that on about social media? I feel that there's a long way to go before something, a platform like Facebook, completely cleans its act up. I have noticed a big difference in Facebook between now and 2015-16. There's less of the oh, just anything goes. I feel back in 2015-16, it was like anything goes. You could say anything on Facebook, and I feel people are a little bit more cautious now. What is the future of our social media? It is, unfortunately, we're living a lot of our life online, and that in itself is a problem, because when we don't put down our computers, when we don't put down our phones, etc., then we forget to actually do those physical things. And also communicate with those around us. But in terms of politics, what is going to be the future of social media? What is going to be the future of social media? Are we going to see it as a breeding ground still for fomenting this division in politics? Social media fomenting division. I feel like we're going to move slightly away from that through regulation. All right, the Nine of Pentacles is talking about money that's in these platforms. So wherever there's money driving it, you're going to get expansion and growth. Now, that's the signifier card. It's talking about the material harvest, the Nine of Pentacles. What's challenging that is the universal consciousness, the universe. Okay, so this is the World card, endings and beginnings. That is a nice card to pull, isn't it? It's almost like the collective consciousness is challenging the monetary side of the platforms and demanding regulation. So that's great. The fact that the collective consciousness is challenging the money. Oh, thank you. Okay. Yes. The Fool is the foundation of the reading, which is in this John Holland's psychic deck, is awareness. So what comes before regulation? Awareness. Okay. We're going to go on this journey. We're going to go on this journey that's made so much money for people and continues to, then we're going to demand a little bit more accountability, a little bit more awareness of what should happen on social media. In the basis, or in the background, or in the past here, we've got the spiritual strength card, which is the Nine of Wands, and this is around putting up boundaries. I feel that social media, from a spiritual perspective, it's it's a phenomena of the collective consciousness. It's a phenomena of wanting to communicate more strongly around the collective consciousness. And I do believe that there is, even though this card is talking about boundaries, needing to put up boundaries, I feel that we're being supported in some way by spirit to do that. Now, the potential here is transformation. That is the potential. So if we've got awareness happening, which, at the beginning of a journey, we understand that this is a way that we're going to all, connect collectively. If we do put that regulation into place, then we have social media actually moving into a more transformational aspect rather than a negative here. All right, the Eight of Wands, things coming forward very quickly. We've had Facebook move this way. Someone said the other day, when Trump is no longer president, he'll be booted off Twitter. I feel that this regulation is going to move very quickly in the future. And we've got at the moment, we've got this connection to spirit in the crown chakra. This is the third eye awareness. Sorry, the crown chakra is the connection with spirit. So I feel that the last 2 or 3 years, the last 5 years, we've seen some horrendous things on social media, and we're becoming more aware of the responsibility that people who own these platforms have to protect humanity. We had, of course, the uploading of the shooting in Christchurch. The communication is the environment surrounding here. So we've got two chakra cards coming up in the situation at the moment. A need for a more spiritual approach, and we've got the communication, a more spiritual approach to communication. When we say spiritual, we don't mean new age. We don't mean we want Facebook owners to start running crystal ads or whatever. We're talking about a more benign approach, an approach that considers the collective consciousness and the responsibility to the collective consciousness. Now, the hopes and fears, five of wands, faction fighting, obstacles, trolling, etc. Okay, that's in the fear. That's what people fear at this point in time. And we've got strength and endurance here, which is power. So I feel if the power is put with the people and not into the hands of a few, then social media has the potential to be hopeful here. This is the card of hope. I'm not seeing at this point in time, hope. Deliver hope to, this is the base chakra, which is security. It is trust in the world. So it has the potential to deliver trust. So we asked where it was moving to. Now, what is hidden from our view? We asked where it was moving to. It's moving in the right direction towards self-responsibility, toward understanding the responsibility that it has to the collective consciousness to promote the positives, not the negatives, to promote peace, not war, etc. But here's the catch here. What's hidden from our view is the temptation card, which is the devil card, and it is around greed and avarice. Okay, so I guess here, which was the signifier card, the money side of things. I guess we need to always be pushing for self-regulation. If we see something absolutely horrendous on social media, we need to report it. But I do feel that is what we need to watch for. We need to watch for temptation, the devil, greed and avarice in those platforms. But I got some really good cards. Now, I know people go on and on about Mark Zuckerberg, but I'm really no fan of Mark's. But these cards that came out were actually quite hopeful that somebody in a position of power will show enough responsibility to self-regulate and remember the collective consciousness. Good to hear. I know it is good to hear. So I'm going to leave that there. I've got an appointment to get to now. So quite an interesting reading and some heavy cards I feel that came forward here. I feel like we're in a bit of a melting pot now, and what are we going to create? I think that's the basis of this melting pot, and I feel we're in the creation stage at the moment, and unfortunately people like Trump and those others are thanks, Donna, I'm glad you could join us, are really we're learning these valuable lessons. So now, week ahead, before we go, I'll just draw 3 cards because all of that reading was quite full on, I felt. For a Monday morning, I think I'll have to have another coffee. I'm drinking green tea at the moment. I think I'll have to finish this and go and have a coffee. So messages from Spirit for this week going forward. I will post a vibe of the week on the main Patreon page, but I'll just have a quick look at messages from Spirit for our explorers, because we're explorers here. So what are the messages of the week going forward for our Explorer channel here? Messages from Spirit. Spiritual strength. Don't forget, we're always supported here. But there's also a message here around keep those boundaries strong. Don't recognize when your boundaries are being pushed, when they're being overstepped. And it's not a bad thing to remind people of the boundaries that exist, because I keep getting a picture of that Three of Wands, that young girl standing on the cliff top with the eagle soaring above her. It is, at the end of the day, it's about you. If you can't look after yourself, if you don't look after yourself first, you're not going to be able to look after others. Now, this is again spiritual strength to empower you. This is the card of strength and endurance. So I feel that we're being supportive. We're being supported by spirit at the moment. And we've got the sacrifice coming forward, which is the Hanged Man card in the normal deck, or not normal, but in the other deck. Sacrifice, yeah. We do have to make sacrifices, and we do it for the love of others and the compassion that's in our hearts and souls and our direction and guidance from spirit. We do have to sometimes sacrifice for the greater good, for the universe, for the collective consciousness. So even though these are trying times, they're very meaningful times, I feel. I feel that we're that melting pot, that we're in the creation stage, and we're going to be stepping up a little bit, creating something a little bit higher. We're adding to the collective consciousness in a very meaningful and positive way at the moment, but there are certain sacrifices that have to be made. So I'm going to leave it there at this point in time. Thank you again for tuning in, and I'll be back again to read for you shortly. For this particular channel, I just should give you an update. Someone asked me, could I channel JFK? And I did open up and see if he wanted to come through. He actually did present, or his energetic vibration, however you want to call this. His energetic vibration came through, and then so did Roosevelt's as well. Two very, very different energies. One sort of, if I can just describe it, as sitting on a chair with his leg crossed, not pushing himself forward. And then Roosevelt came in at 100 miles an hour with a very, very different energy. So I'm just letting that permeate for this point in time to see who will come forward, which one is the right one to be channeling, or should I get them together? I'm not sure. I'm just still deciding, and I'm waiting for spirit, as I do when I channel energetic vibrations or tune into energetic vibrations. I'm waiting for spirit to let me know which is the best way to go. So that's coming soon, over the next few days, to the Explorer channel. So I'll leave it there. Thank you for all joining me, and have a good week ahead, and I'll see you again soon. Bye, everyone.